Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. Well, where were you for round number one? If you did miss it, we went to Paul Ricard last week. It was an absolute domination by Dennis Schoeniger, but plenty of drivers looking to put that to bed this evening. My name is Jack Cunnane, back once again, and joining me this week, we got rid of Lewis McGlade, and we have Thom Brouwer back with us again.
What's
the wonderful
up?
Thom Brouwer. How are you, Thom?
I'm good. I mean, it's amazing to be back. I was unfortunately out of the country during the very first round, but I mean, Lewis did amazing filling in my shoes. But it's amazing to be back. I mean, Alpine Esports Series is my favorite time of the year, so I mean, you know all about it. You've done round one. How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, for the other drivers, probably not so good because Dennis Schoeniger took absolutely everything possible. Fastest lap, pole position, and both race wins, of course, was run very close by guys like Wojtek Fiala, James Baldwin, and all of that. A little bit of drama as well in the stewards afterwards as well. We like a bit of that sometimes as well. But it does mean that Dennis Schoeniger is very much clear at the top of the championship at the moment. So it's going to take a lot for the rest of the drivers to get up to it. But if you're unfamiliar, if this is your first time here with us, welcome first of all. This is the Alpine Esports Series, and we have two races coming up for you. This evening, we've got the sprint race and the main race. The sprint race, of course, a little bit shorter, but two qualifying sessions, 6 minutes only the first session as well. So, Thom, not a lot of time to get a lap in for that sprint race.
Oh, 100%. The sprint race is going to be super quick, especially qualifying, where you have to do the lap straight away. You have to put that banker in, otherwise you might just be done with no laps. And of course, the whole championship consists of 3 rounds. We'll show it a little bit later as well. Super tense, one of the biggest championships in sim racing, which has we're already in its 3rd season now of the Alpine Esports Series. So we see some names returning, but also some very new names. And maybe somebody else taking the crown this year. So let's see if it's going to be somebody else. I mean, Dennis is a different one this year already. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis has certainly made his mark early on with all those race wins as well. And chatting to some of the drivers afterwards, the rest of the drivers were almost confused as to how he was so quick. They couldn't believe it with how quick he was as well. GT4 obviously not as much driven as the other cars on ACC. So a lot of work put in by all the guys at the team, of course. The point system is a little bit different in the sprint race, don't forget as well. Just the top 8 score points in the sprint race and the top 10 in the main race. So the main race is the one that they all want to win. Only 11 drivers scored points in the previous round as well, so some guys will be looking for a little bit more as well. There's plenty of prizes up for grabs as well. We'll go through those a little bit later. We were at Paul Ricard last week, we're at Silverstone this week, and I think a lot of the drivers are excited for this one, Thom.
Oh, 100%. Silverstone is an amazing track. Of course, Paul Ricard is as well. Especially, nobody would say Paul Ricard isn't an amazing track necessarily in like the in the Formula styled races, but with GT cars, there's so much room to play with. And we saw it last year as well, because last year we had Paul Ricard on the calendar. This year as well, I believe we had Silverstone on the calendar too. Not quite. I don't remember quite nicely there, but I think we did. But it's going to be amazing. Today, we're going to have some QR codes to scan as well. For those of you who are interested in those, some Binance QR codes. Actually, every single session, we're going to have a QR code pop up for a total of 1 minute, which you can then scan and you can redeem whatever there is to redeem. We'll show it a little bit later as well. But there's some big prizes up for grabs here. Not only for the drivers, but also for you. Yeah, if you're just joining in, a warm welcome. It's great to have you here for the Alpine Esports Series round 2, and I think it's time for us to go and watch a short little movie, and then after that we're gonna get ourselves ready to go for round 2. Let's go.
And you are welcome back to the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. Like Thom was saying, get ready. Those QR codes will be coming your way very, very soon. And a big thank you to Binance and QAN especially, and all our title sponsors. You can see them all down below our wonderful faces here as well. They make this championship happen. But, of course, this championship, if those of you are wondering what game we're on, what car are we using, let's go through it right now. Of course, we're racing on Assetto Corsa Competizione, and which is the official game of one of the GT World Challenge as well. But the car we're using is, of course, a wonderful Alpine A110 GT4. I said this last week, Thom. This thing is a little pocket rocket, I like to call it.
It is. I used to actually race in the Alpine Esports Series in the very first season. Same car, the GT4 car, super light car, only 1,000 kilos, but a lot of horsepower for the weight of that car. It's genuinely a car that's very hard to get in the right spot. The margin for error is super, super tiny, but when you do get it into the correct spot, the Goldilocks space, it is such a fun car to drive. I would say it's a lot more fun even to drive compared to the GT3 cars. You can drift it around the turns. And if you do, I mean, I would say if they drifted around the turns, if they do some Tokyo drifting, they're doing something wrong. But a little bit of drifting is it's always welcome, especially for us viewers and commentators. But yeah, for sure, a super fun car to drive. I actually did a lap in this car with Jack Doohan, the F1 reserve driver. For Alpine F1, so I have a little bit of experience, but let's see how much experience the guys have with this car. Let's see later on.
Yeah, because of course Jardier has some experience in this, James Baldwin as well, if we've driven this car in real life before around Paul Ricard. So let's see if that carries over. Of course, here's the calendar. We've already been to Paul Ricard. We're here at Silverstone this evening, and then in a couple of weeks' time, we're rounding it out at Valencia. Brand new track added to ACC in the latest update as well. So of course, Paul Ricard, the guys have driven it plenty, Silverstone as well, but Valencia, it's going to be sort of brand new territory for these guys. I'm very excited to see how these cars handle the Valencia circuit. Not something I've seen GT cars go around too much, especially GT4s. So I'm excited for that round, but we have to get Silverstone out of the way first as well. A fantastic circuit. So steeped in history, and not only do we get one race, we get two races to take around this wonderful calendar as well. So it's a great calendar, but I think Valencia is going to be probably the most interesting one out of the lot. Not saying that the others aren't interesting, of course, but Valencia is not one that the drivers will have driven too much.
I have never driven on Valencia on a sim before. I would be clueless. I actually need to go and shave a little, or get a little bit of experience there, pop on the game and do a couple of laps, because I wouldn't have a clue what to talk about in the next show. I don't know about you. Have you ever set a wheel on Valencia so far?
No, I actually haven't.
Well, there we go. We both need to get a little bit of experience more for Valencia. No, but amazing. Obviously today Silverstone, legendary track as you said. A lot of overtaking opportunities, lots of straights. Obviously these cars compared to F1 cars don't have DRS to overtake on straights, but obviously the slipstream is gonna work. If they're close to the other car, gonna be able to get closer and closer. And there's a lot of long straights here, so. Yeah, chucking it on the inside, around the outside even, and of course the weather could also play a part here, because I believe in the very first round we haven't seen a single bit of rain. Perhaps there'll be a little bit of rain today.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. We didn't see any mixed conditions, so let's see what we have. But if you did miss all the action of last round, well, conveniently, we've got some highlights coming your way. The main race is now underway, and it's a good start from Baldwin, as you can see from row 2. Pounces on Fiala. He has to cover off Fiala heading up towards turn 2. Now has to try and cover off the charging James Baldwin. We go 3 abreast momentarily as we go into turn 1. Fiala holds the inside. Baldwin holds on to third as well. Sprint race of 2023. The Alpine Esports Series is underway. Good start from Dennis Schoeniger immediately, and a good start from Fiala as well on the second row of the grid. Baldwin left on the outside now. 35 of these Alpines heading down towards turn 1 in Paul Ricard. To run out wide there, and he does get a little bit of contact out of the corner as well, but Baldwin side by side with Schoeniger. They all spread out. Van der Velde and Gert Fischer side by side. You can see here Brouwer also trying to challenge down the inside of Fischer as well as they come through the middle part of the lap here.
couple of bumps as they head down towards scene. Look at that in the foreground though, because that will be a big move coming in from James Baldwin, trying to get past Wojciech Fiala because Dennis Juniger's checking out.
Alfante from Italy, of course, and Florian Hasse. Great to see him out in this series, of course, and a little bit of contact through the corner. Now, it is very difficult to go side by side through there, as much as it looks like.
As well as Brouwer and I think Jean Blanc. Whoa, that was a big moment there from Brouwer coming through scene.
Slipstream off of the car in front. He sticks it in though, side by side through the corner. Romagnoli drifts through the second part of the corner, and somehow Malinovsky has come through unscathed without a humongous accident through the right-hander. Up the inside though into the next part of the corner, a little bit of side-by-side contact through the corner. That corner is absolutely horrendous for that as well.
I wonder if we're going to get any more boffing and squeezing as they head their way through this tight section.
The answer is yes. Right behind, there's a little bit more through the corner. Unfortunate, not the beneficiary of that was Lucas Muller. He's lost another 2 places. Of these 3 cars now as they come through the fast race. It's not going to end well. The number 25 turns across the nose. Tishkevich there, unfortunately getting involved there, but Muller manages to keep it in a straight line. Crossland might think about it here, comes up towards turn 1 as a look to the outside now. Pavlovsky holds the middle of the road, no way through for him now. This time he's got just a little bit of a nose alongside
this one, but actually he's going to pick up the slipstream, and of course, and by the time they get up towards scene at the end of the Mistral Straight, Crossland should actually be ahead.
Yeah, great stuff there from Charlie Crossland. Dennis Schuniger deals first blood in the Alpine Esports Series. The sprint race goes to him. James Baldwin, reigning champ, he finishes in P2. Malinovsky will finish 3rd, but of course with a 5-second penalty will drop down the order, so that'll be P3 for Luke Whitehead. Nobody could get close to this man today. Absolute clean sweep. The sprint race, he got pole, and then he's taken this one as well. Pole position for the main race and the race win to boot. Dennis Schuniger takes the opening round of the Alpine Esports Series, powered by Binance. Wojciech Fiala, I have to say, a hat tip to him. Huge pressure and hangs on for P2. Provisionally, Tinko van der Velde takes P3, but we reckon the stewards may be having a look at it to finish this opening round.
Well, if you did miss the first round, I mean, that was crazy. But one thing I did notice was Dennis Schuniger, of course, just nothing happening around him at all. Drove all the way to the flag by himself. But of course, welcome back to the Alpine Esports Series, powered by Binance as well. We're heading into round 2 very, very soon at Silverstone, but we wanted to go through, of course, the prizes on offer here for this championship. There is a huge prize pool up for grabs. One of the finest prizes, I would say, in sim racing, of course. We've got and our prize pools, but of course you may have all seen the wonderful experience that James Baldwin and Jarde managed to go through with the Alpine A110 GT4. So loads of great prizes there, Thom.
For sure. I mean, if you win the championship, you get to drive a real Alpine A110 GT4, including the $3,000 in Cunnane. And then P2 gets a full track racer rig, Alpine branded, the Alpine racing rig that's been co-branded or co-made with Alpine. An Adept gaming chair for P3, Tobii eye tracker for P4. And then some nice merch bundles from Alpine Esports, which I'm wearing right now. And then the jersey that I'm wearing right now, look at that, for P6 as well. Amazing.
Yeah, we saw it for all the drivers who are wondering what the jersey looks like. I've got a live model for you. We've got the Alpine Esports. Yeah, you've got a live model. All right, there. Look at that. Look at that. Look how good that looks up there. But of course, as well, on top of course, the prizes that we've just mentioned there, we have, of course, the Alpine tokens, and the champion of the series takes home $25,000 worth of Alpine tokens, all the way down to 10th. Takes home at least some Alpine tokens, and as well there is $1,500 in tokens for the fastest lap award in the championship and the fastest qualifier lap from the time trial event as well. So Thom, tell us a little bit about this Alpine token.
Yeah, I mean, in total it's $100,000 in Alpine fan token, which is insane. I mean, this is huge. The stakes are super high, and what you can do with the Alpine fan token is actually really cool as well, because you actually get a say in Alpine F1 team. So if you own an Alpine fan token, which the winner is going to own a lot of them, you're going to be able to actually have a say in Alpine, because when there's polls, for example, right now there's a poll on who is going to do a day in the life, Otmar Zafnauer, Esteban Ocon, or Pierre Gasly. You can vote in the poll, and then that person will actually do a day in the life, and a lot of more stuff, like getting tickets for F1 races or winning money can't buy experiences. It's really cool. I own a couple of Alpine fan tokens myself, a couple, but yeah, really cool to see the stakes for tonight's race, or actually for the whole championship. So yeah, looking forward.
Yeah, so all in all, the winner receives almost $30,000 worth of prizes, which is amazing for that. Of course, the Alpine tokens, of course, made possible by our title sponsor, Binance. Big thank you to them, of course, for supporting this championship as well. And make sure, keep your phones ready for scanning those QR codes. They'll be coming in the races coming up in just a few moments' time. But of course, Silverstone, that's where we're heading in just a few moments' time as well. Probably one of the tracks that's most steeped in history. Of course, it hosted the very first F1 Grand Prix back in 1950 when it became the championship as well. But it opened in 1948. It used to be an airfield, but I mean, it is probably one of my favorite tracks, and probably nearly everyone's. It's on someone's list of favorite tracks at least.
Oh, 100%. It's the track. If you think about F1, it's Silverstone. If you think about motorsport, obviously, very much its heritage in the UK as well. And Silverstone is like a home base almost. It's like the hangar, like you said, like an old air base. It's a very long track, 5.8 kilometers, and a lap around here is going to take a long time as well. I think over 2 minutes or something like that. We'll see in this very short qualifying session. But what is going to be very important is that they go out on track straight away and do their laps. But yeah, looking at the last race, Jack, did they go out on track straight away, or did they wait off and try and find a good space on track?
They, from what I remember, they all came out straight away with just 6 minutes on the clock. Of course, a lap around Paul Ricard was around 2-minute 3s, 2-minute 2s. So we'll be doing that in just a moment. Let's have a look at the format in case you were wondering. Here is how the points are broken up for the sprint race and the main race. So the sprint race, you can see, is 15 minutes, and points are given from 1st down to 8th, 10 points for a win, all the way down to 1 point for 8th place. The main race is 10 minutes longer, 25 minutes, and 25 points for the win. That follows the F1 points format all the way down to 10th place. Now, if you look at that as well, of course, Dennis Schoeniger took home the maximum score for last time as well, took the sprint race and took the main race, and now holds 35 points over his next closest rival, who has 21. So this is a crucial round for everyone else who is behind him. It's only a 3-round championship as well, so every point counts. We make this point, of course, if you score points, it is incredibly important, because with how short this championship is, Thom, every single point matters.
Yeah, of course. And remember, with the sprint race and the main race, the results that are going to be happening are actually going to be individual, right? So if you do a very bad result in the sprint race, nothing's done yet. You'll be able to do good in the qualifying. for the main race. And we've seen, I think, as well, a couple of times where people have been on the back foot in the sprint race, where it's like chaotic, right? It's sprint, like boom, 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 straight away, get a good time in. Oh man, I haven't had a lap time, and starting from the back, it's super, super hard to go through the grid as well, with 35 drivers on the grid, and not just 35, but 35 of the best drivers of the grid. I remember when I was competing in the very first season of Alpine Esports Series, I was nowhere compared to these guys. So yeah, it's super, super hard to overtake if you do a very bad qualifying. So qualifying here is going to be crucial. So and especially now with 6 minutes only. For the sprint race, of course, for the main race, a little bit of a longer qualifying. So yeah, they'll have a little bit more time to put that in that perfect lap. And we'll probably see times tumbling a little bit from sprint qualifying going into the main qualifying.
Yeah, more than likely as well. We did have this discussion as well last week even with the sprint qualifying. Because of the slipstream, of course, there's going to be so many cars out on track looking for little advantages, of course. Would you want to be the first car out on the track or the last car out on the track?
Ooh, personally, it depends a little bit how confident you are. I would not be confident, so I would go out first to have the track, right? And put a lap in. But it's time right now to get ourselves into qualifying. So let's get ourselves out on track right here then. 5 minutes and 40 seconds already, as all the cars indeed straight away go out on track. We only see one car currently still in the pits, number 23. Probably not going to be able to do 2 runs, if they're even going to be able to do 2 runs. But as you can see, it is going to be raining here then. The very first time in this season that we're going to have some rain. I wonder how much it's raining. It doesn't look like it's raining super, super bad. You can see everybody warming up their tires as well. And I think they will have to warm up their tires, won't they, Jack, now with the rain?
Absolutely, yeah. So a wet session to get us underway here in the Alpine Esports Series, powered by Binance, round number 2 at Silverstone. Typical British weather we've got right here, and we think there is some cars who decided not to come out straight away, so sort of limiting themselves to just that one run if they could get that at all, of course. So leading us across the line then to begin the first lap. So you can see some drivers might actually not even bother to set a time here early on and still continue to try and get temperature in the tires, because of course there has been, we talk about it a lot, the recent update to ACC, the 1.9 update, which has changed how the cars handle, a lot of suspension changes that have come in. But Dennis Schoeniger, he is, well, I suppose he's the first car out on the track in his Binance livery at the moment, the number 10 car. He wants clear track. He was about 3/10 faster than everybody last week, of course, in the previous round, which was incredible because we had a look at this, Thom. He was 3/10 quicker than everybody else, but the gap from second down to 15th was 3/10 down, so he was that much faster than everybody.
It is incredibly close here. I was gonna say maybe he's not confident here because he was going out first, but I think that's a very oh my goodness, he went super wide here then, unless he's still warming up the tires like you said. But that is definitely not gonna be a quick lap here for Dennis, unless it's some rain lines he's taking, but I don't think that was the line to carry as much speed as possible through the corner. I think most drivers are going to try and warm up their tires here. Just one more lap, and then next lap will be the one. Obviously, all the drivers have taken enough fuel in the car to do at least 2 laps here, because I think most drivers here are still warming up their tires. We might see a couple of lap times popped on these timetables as well soon, with some drivers opting to go for a quick run at first, I guess, and some of them still warming up those tires. But we'll have to wait and see. 3 minutes now already remaining on the clock. It's very, very quick, this qualifying. As we said before, it's all or nothing here. So yeah, I mean, let's see when those times get popped on the timetables. Who is going to be shivering from having to do another lap and having all the pressure on them, and who is going to be ready to go on top of the standings.
Yeah, absolutely. I was having a look there. Of course, this championship, of course, we don't use the F1 pit lane. We use the old pit lane. So there's that line that was being taken by Dennis Schoeniger was to try and launch himself out of the hairpin to get the best run possible down the straight, of course. So I just got reminded of that as he was coming through the corner. I had this exact same thought process and then realised, oh, we're actually on the main straight here as he comes through. So you'd see that'll make it slightly different. But every car is on a lap. 2 minutes and 17 seconds on the clock. So definitely some drivers are going to be pushing it very, very close to get a lap in here. As you can see, Mateusz Tyszkiewicz currently coming through the second, well, one of the last sector right here, heading down. Well, what would be the last sector if we were on the F1 layout, but we're not, as you can see. And now we are back with Dennis Schoeniger as he heads down into Brooklands, which is the left-hander before we get to Luffield. So this is the second to last corner now as he tries to take another pole position. Has 2 so far and wants to make it 3 for the sprint race. Of course, has a chance if everything goes his way. I mean, technically he could wrap this championship up if he does everything spot on, but he's going to need a massive problems for his rivals this week as he comes around the last corner. Then 1:30 on the clock, has another lap to do if he wants to. 2:12.2 is the first time across the board, and that is James Baldwin goes half a second quicker.
Crazy, 2:11 then from the reigning champion at the moment. 1:10 behind now, everybody coming over the line to get closer, but can anyone beat James Baldwin here as we go over the line for the very first laps of everybody? In the meantime, on the bottom right, you can claim your Alpine airdrop if you haven't done so yet. Make sure you do. It will be on the screen for a little bit longer, and it will come back a couple of times, so don't you worry. If you can't scan it just now, you can do it later on as well. But a 2:11.7, still a 10th clear of everybody else. I think the gaps are a little bit bigger this time around, with the drivers having a tougher time navigating around the wet weather. As you can see now, Patats on the lap as well. And oh my, that has to be a cut here. That has to be a cut.
We'll wait and see whether it's P7 for Lucas Mattia then in the number 15 car as he comes round turn number 1. But yeah, very close. 1/10 of a second is all it is between James Baldwin and Dominic Brouwer. Of course, now 20 seconds left on the clock. There's Baldwin, and he's actually getting a sort of a distant slipstream off of Schoeniger at the moment. So Schoeniger's almost towing him round. And in these conditions, you've sort of got to think that being the last car across the line is probably the best thing, because the line is getting cleaned up constantly as they come round to the end of qualifying. So the checkered flag is going to come out now for qualifying. Dominic Brouwer is back in the pit lane. So a couple of guys who are not going to set times. Wojciech Fiala as well. He's not going to set another time. Kamil Pawlowski, Luke Whitehead down in 11th. He'll be disappointed with that. Victor Nicolai down in 19th as well. So Baldwin's still on a lap here, as is Schoeniger, Tinko van der Velde, and Marco Pejic up there in P4 as well. Good to see him up towards the top end as well. But these are going to be the important times now. Baldwin can try and get this. Has been an important pole position here if he can get this for the sprint race. Round the second to last corner through Brooklands into Luffield. Then Schoeniger in front of him. Baldwin, the reigning champion, trying to close the championship gap after last week. Comes out of the final corner now for the sprint race. Who's going to get pole? Van der Velde's come into the pit lanes. He won't be challenging. Here comes Baldwin across the line. Now Schoeniger will be first to cross the line. Doesn't improve. Baldwin comes across the line. Also does not improve. So no improvements on those second laps by the looks of it. A couple more cars still to come, but by the looks of it, unless there's major improvements, Baldwin's taken a really vital pole position.
Page is still on a lap here. Coming through the last couple of corners. Actually, this is the very last turn. What is he going to do? Is he going to be anywhere close? Pedri's over the line, and it's not going to be an improvement. It's going to be a P4, 2.5 tenths down, with Mateja still on the lap. As I said, he might have got the very last turn. We'll have to wait and see what the stewards think of that. It looked like it at least. Oh, there's a huge drift going through that one, and I don't think that's going to be very beneficial for him in trying to get a better lap time. However, it's going to be a couple more turns to go over the line one more time. Will he go and improve his lap time to get a couple more positions? 0.5 of a second to the lead, which I don't think he's going to get. But over the line he goes, and he stays P7.
It was only a 1/10 of a second off his best there. Matteo Zampedri coming across the line. Does he do an improvement? He does not. So those second laps actually were not as quick as the first, but it was James Baldwin who got the best out of them. A Sobchik then, he looks like it'll be one of the last cars to cross the line here as he comes up. Did a 2:14.0 the last time, but again, James Baldwin on pole, Dominic Brouwer next to him, and so that is a vital pole positioning because he managed to get a few positions clear of his championship rival Dennis Schoeniger and Wojciech Fiala as well. He's second in the championship and he is right in there as well. So we've got a really interesting sprint race coming up.
100%, and very needed as well for James Baldwin, because currently he's P3 in the championship, about 15 points behind of Dennis Schoeniger, who is quite out of position, you would say, after him actually qualifying and finishing the races in a very good position in the very first round. So it's going to be very fun to see for us viewers. where he's going to end up, and hopefully he's going to get some good competition here. But what a qualifying. I thought a couple of people actually misjudged that, with obviously not being able to do a last lap. Some drivers did, but some drivers were already in the pits afterwards, before the very last lap ended. But nobody really improved. I don't know why, but perhaps it was because of tires overheating, or maybe they just didn't put enough fuel in the car, and they were limping back home in the end. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, you could have. I think it was probably telling with Lucas Mattia sort of drifting through most of the corners as well. So it could have been the tires just overusing them on that first lap as well. So it's interesting, but that's what that sprint qualifying is all about. You've got to nail it first time, and it was James Baldwin who did. And Dominic Brouwer, really good effort as well, only a 1/10 of a second behind. Tinko van der Velde is also on the second row as well, which will be interesting because there was a bit of an incident between Baldwin and van der Velde last week, and of course James Baldwin was not particularly happy with how that ended in the end. But James Baldwin, here's the qualifying results, takes pole for the sprint race. Dominic Brouwer lines up behind him, and Tinko van der Velde in third. Marco Pejic, great to see him up towards the top end. Didn't have a good week last week, now up on the second row. Wojtek Fiala, the man who's second in the championship, and he's now sharing a row with Dennis Schoeniger, and then Lucas Mattia in behind in P7. You can see how close the gaps are. Those three guys all within about 200ths of a second of each other. Then you have Romagnoli, Pavlovsky, and Charlie Crossland rounding out the top 10. Luke Whitehead probably will be disappointed with P11, 212.8 there in front of Mateusz Tyszkiewicz. Then you have Matthias Cunnane, Gert Fischer, and Matthias Zampedri. Gert Fischer and Zampedri completely inseparable, the exact same lap time there in P14 and P15. But as you can see, the field spread is much, much closer than it was last week. Then you have Vutina in P16, Gillison, then Hasse, Twardsidlo in 19th, and Victor Nicolay in P20. Sobchik, Patad, Bergera, Mamad, and Novakovsky in P25. I think there's 35 of the drivers with us today, but I think a good note is how close the qualifying was. It wasn't close last week in regards to pole position, but I mean, there's literal 10th separating maybe 15 drivers here.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, obviously all the cars are equal, besides all the setup that is on the car. But it's just like a tiny mistake means the end. As all the drivers go away then, we will have a little bit of a formation here. But once the lights go out for them, we go over racing, and it's going to be serious, because big points for grabs here. 10 for the win. And of course 1 for P10. So if anybody is close, I think from like P18 to P11, those guys are going to be trying to push as hard as they can in this 15-minute long race. And we go off then for the very first race in Silverstone. Into turn 1, we have James Baldwin defending the inside, keeping P1. However, behind, Tinko van der Velde having a very good battle with Marco Pejic. You can see everybody going super wide as well. Oh, this is going to be very tough here, because there's going to be some side-by-side moments. Hopefully everybody comes through.
Yeah, it looks like everybody did get through turn 1. It's a tricky turn 1, especially in the wet conditions as well. And guys like Dennis Schoeniger, they need to get through these laps cleanly, because this is, again, a very important championship-wise with how short this championship is. But Baldwin leads us onto the back straight then. And one car in the grass in the background there as they come up with 3 abreast across. More cars heading into the grass on the exit there of Chapel. 3 abreast heading into the next right-hander at the top of the hill as well. Loads happening. Luke Whitehead in the middle of it here. He moves up a position into P10. Into the top 10 he goes, then he'll be at least getting himself closer to that front end. Side by side up in front with a couple of cars. There's Wojtek Fiala and Lucas Mattia going side by side into the right, into the left-hander. Then big send up the inside there from Matthias Kuhn, I think, was having a little look up the inside as well as they come to the last quarter. Here's Marco Pejic in the middle of the top 4 as well, but clean start from the top 5, and they're already starting to break away a little bit here.
Yeah, there's a big gap from, I believe it's P7 to P8, something like that, with of course the there we go, a very close fight here. There might be a big send on the inside. There is going to be a big send on the inside, a little bit of moving under braking from the car in front, but if he can hang it around the outside all the way, he might be able to get the position. It is a big tap then. He's going to lose another position, another tap. He's getting bullied around the track right here, loses another position, goes down to P9 for Romagnoli, and will have to try and navigate around. Goes over the grass and almost loses the car just about. Keeps it on the track, and now I think his head is going to be fuming hot, losing so many positions here in lap number 2, and he's going to be a victim here as everybody tries to go and pick him off, and it's almost as if he has a tire blown out or something, but he doesn't. He is just having a very, very tough time keeping it out on track there, as we have Marco Begic now as we're on board, trying to fight for that P3, getting closer with Tinko van der Velde actually having a little bit of a bigger gap now to the car of P2.
Yeah, I don't know how Michael Romagnoli held on to the car there, well saved, but dropping down just shows you when you get offline, you just get bullied around in these in sort of in a situation like that when cars are so close together. But you can see James Baldwin, Dominic Brouwer have broken away, like you said. Tinko van der Velde down at P3 there. Page under pressure now from Dennis Schoeniger. It was Wojciech Fiala who's dropped down to P7, was in front of Schoeniger, but now has dropped behind Lucas Mattia then in P6. Then it's Fiala, and then Pavlovsky sort of leads the next sort of train as they come down into the next right-hander. A little bit side-by-side going on here between Charlie Crossland and Matthias Zampedri there as he goes through, tries to go through on the inside here through the next part of the corner, side-by-side again, very close as they come into, but they give each other just enough room and no more. But Zampedri up the inside into the next left-hander, should have the move done and does, and moves in front of Charlie Crossland. That is a top 10 position for him there, as Crossland now under pressure from Tishkevich further down there. So it is very, very good stuff from everybody so far. 11.5 minutes on the clock. Matthias Kuhn having a little look on the inside of Tishkevich into this corner. Very tricky to do it through there. It's such a fast corner. They bang doors onto the grass. They go. He leaves him room, knows that he has to give him room. Romagnoli's trying to find room through the middle of them as they come into the braking zone, and Romagnoli has somehow found room, gives a little tap to Matthias Kuhn, and unfortunately that has caused an incident in the background for a couple of guys. But Matthias Kuhn there, he's managed to get through, but it was Tishkevich caught up in that. He was the one who was tapped around in that corner there, and unfortunately drops down to 16th place. But it is it's elbows out here.
It is absolute chaos here then. 11 minutes left on the clock. We've only been racing for 4 minutes, and we've seen people go from P5 to P15, and people go from P19 to P50. Shout out to Victor Nikone, who is of course a veteran of the Alpine Esports Series, having done every single race so far in the series since the very beginning in 2021. He's going from P19 to P15, trying to eye for those points as we look to P1, and we actually have a look at James Baldwin as well in his sim, trying to go and keep Brouwer behind of him. But as you can see on the screen as well, Brouwer has the fastest lap. Purple means fastest, and it also means Baldwin is under pressure because 2.5 tenths, this next straight might be the one. In the meantime, if you haven't yet claimed your Alpine airdrop, on the screen right now there's a QR. Make sure you get your phone and scan it. And there we go, more fights going on. The championship leader, Dennis Schoeniger, coming in, holds in the DRS or in the slipstream, I mean, over the car of Marco Begic. He is going to try and maybe send it on the inside here, or maybe around the outside. He is going to try and send it on the inside then. Will he dab him? Just about. He does not. And just about keeps behind. Maybe it's going to be a little bit of a scent here, then in the next one he will, as he mounts it up the inside, but it's going to be a very late braking for Marco Begic, and he's going to have to wait a little bit longer, but time is running out slowly but surely. 9 minutes and 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, very, very close. Dominic Brouwer putting pressure on James Baldwin, like you said. But Schoeniger, he needs to sort of have the championship in the back of his head as well. These are all points that are being, if he can't afford to get caught up in an instant as well, but also needs to be aggressive as well to try and gain positions here. But he's dragged Lucas Mattia back into the fight here. You can see the car behind him in P6. Wojciech Fiala also sort of in the mix here as well in P7, trying to make some places back. Penalties being applied as well. Victor Nicolai 10 seconds, Michael Romagnoli 10 seconds as well, and Novakovsky 5 seconds as well. The stewards, of course, we do have live stewards. They're very busy keeping on top of everything. Look at Tinko van der Velde trying to break the toe down the straight here into Brooklands, but you can see now it is a case of trying to keep these guys behind him, as Luke Whitehead trying to make positions up. Didn't have the best qualifying, started out in P11, but does seem to have the pace in race trim. Picture in picture of our race lead battle. You can see that Dominic Brouwer is very close to James Baldwin, sort of closer than he has been all this time so far, but it's one thing catching up to James Baldwin, it's another thing trying to pass him, which is going to be another thing Dominic Brouwer needs to try and do here. And again, Luke Whitehead trying to put Pavlovsky under pressure, which is not an easy task either for him. So lots to keep our eyes on here, but this is a crucial point. Of course, Baldwin really needs this win here, and outscoring Fiala, outscoring Schoeniger heading into the feature as well. So very important to keep on top of everything here. And of course, only top 8 score points. So Luke Whitehead will be really wanting to get by Kamil Pavlovsky.
I think I jinxed Victor Nicolay here. I was picking him up like crazy. Yeah, veteran, this, that, and then he gets a 10-second penalty. I cannot believe it. But yeah, like you said, Brouwer super close to James Baldwin. Also, being super close means the tires are going to overheat a little bit more, or going to heat up a little bit more. Is that going to affect how much he can do? As we have a beautiful move going on there by Matthias Kuhn, who goes on the inside over the car, over Fischer, and takes the move for P11 there. Beautiful move there. As like I said, if you're on a little bit of a different line, it's just super easy to get caught out there and somebody else overtaking you there. As we have some drifts going on there too. Now, however, for the win, we have a super close battle. There's going to be something happening here, right now, because he's going to send it up the inside or the outside. Not yet. He's waiting, I think, Jack.
Yeah, he's sort of parking it on the apex as much as he can. I think Whitehead has made that move, I think, on that'll be Kamil Pavlovsky, I think, so we'll wait and see. But yes, Brouwer is really putting the pressure onto James Baldwin right here, and would love to take a win here and be the first different winner this season so far. Drive-through penalty for Gert Fischer as well, popping up on our screens there in P12. So the stewards are very busy already in this sprint race, but as you can see, Dominic Brouwer is all over. He's all over him going through Luffield, heading up onto beginning of lap. 6 minutes on the clock. There's still plenty of time, really, for him to make the move. But needs to, of course, make sure that he can get clear of him, because, again, Tinko van der Velde, these guys have broken away completely. 2 seconds is the gap back to Van der Velde and the rest of these guys. So we will see what's going on. Race control. There is what the 10-second penalty was for the number 25 car, a penalty for contact with the number 19, so that's the 10 seconds I think that was being applied earlier on. So the stewards, of course, always very busy, but again, we have to commend them. They've been super quick on deciding incidents so far this season, so again, they're going to be very it's great to have them, of course. Plus 5 seconds for the number 21. These are all the penalties. That was for Novakovsky for contact with the number 25, including an off-track overtake being applied right there. So you can see that's what you can deem the 5 seconds as, and we'll find out, of course, what the other penalties are for in due course. But 5 minutes on the clock. Marco Page coming under pressure from Dennis Schoeniger at the moment. Van der Velde holding station for the moment, but consistently the guys up front are about 0.4 of a second a lap quicker than these guys as well, and I suppose would be sort of working with each other as well to not fight too hard, and we will see what happens. But 5 minutes on the clock, still no move by Dominic Brouwer on James Baldwin, but we will see if he can make it very shortly.
Now, another race control here, and number 2 received a 10-second penalty for contact with number 24. A little bit of contact here at the start. As we go back to the fight for P1, we have only 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go, so there has to be a fight, or there has to be a move here soon. I would love to know then, from anybody and everybody who is watching right now, who do you think is going to come out on top here in the end? Is it going to be James Baldwin, who's currently leading, or is it going to be Dominic Brouwer, who is very viciously following and attempting to go and show himself on the inside once again here, showing himself in the mirror of James Baldwin. But James Baldwin isn't going to go and move on the around the outside or go away here. He is going to keep the car hanging. As we have a little bit of a battle going on, Marco Pejcic is completely off the track, and he is going to go and let Dennis Schoeniger go and get him paused in P5 then, as you can see the driver using all of the track there on the exit as well. Marco Pejcic just about a little bit of a moment there and loses the position, and we'll have to get it back. P5 still a lot of points, or at least not a lot of points as it's a sprint race, but still good points for him to put into his tally. As we look to the battle of Pavlovsky, who tries to overtake Luke Whitehead, the last and final point in this race. So this is a lot to play for. He's very, very close, only 0.3 of a second, and once we get onto this next race, there will be an opportunity.
Certainly will, and you can see that Page tried to go around the outside, but as soon as he gets offline, it just drags him all the way to the outside, and that let Dennis Schöniger make a rather easy overtake at the end. But Michael Romagnoli, he's been in the war so far. Move on the inside of the now into Chapel. That's not going to work. Victor Nicolay and these two have both got penalties. So again, very loose coming out of there, and that's going to unfortunately end up in an off-track for him there. But Dennis Schöniger up to P4 now, almost got gifted a free position there with that move that Page tried around the outside. But Van der Velde, he's been under pressure for the whole race so far and continues to absorb it from these guys behind. 3 seconds is the gap up to Baldwin and Brouwer right now, so huge efforts by those top two. Brouwer still holds the fastest lap. Claim your Alpine airdrop if you have not done so already. Get your phones out, get scanning those QR codes, and keep on top of it as well, as Schöniger now needs to try and make a way past here on Van der Velde, but needs to be sure that he doesn't drag himself too much offline. Has a look to the inside here, but he try it. No, Van der Velde super late on the brakes into the right hand of a pump foot, forces himself wide. That'll give him the inside for the next corner though. Inside line for Van der Velde, leaves room on the outside for Schöniger. Watch for the cutback from Page on the inside now as they come down to the next part of the corner now. Through the left-handed, heading down towards Brooklands. Page is on the inside, but will of the draft. Lucas Mattia fancies a bit of this as well. He's giving a little bump draft to Dennis Schöniger in front right now. Page might not get clear here. He might get overtaken by Lucas Mattia on the outside here as well. Schöniger survives the attack. Mattia will get shuffled out wide, and they'll now end up again side by side into Luffield on the inside line there. Page and Mattia, super good racing between those two, still side by side on the exit between the both of them. Looks like Mattia will get clear just about as they head up towards Kopp's corner. That'll be P5 for Lucas Mattia, still just tiny amounts alongside, trying to keep with these guys as they head through Kopp's now onto the brakes, and Mattia gets the move done, and that was all set up from turn 1 through to the next part. A minute and 25 on the clock. Great racing, but still there'll only be one lap when we cross the line next time by, and really, well, this will be very close between Brouwer and Baldwin.
And that's how Pejic goes from P4 to P6 here. Trying to go for moves is not always the best thing to do, and Brouwer shows it because he's been behind of Baldwin for a while. But there has to be a moment. This moment is going to come, and it might be just here now as Brouwer tries to lunge it up the inside. No, he stays behind. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He wants to keep that gap stable between of him and Tinko van der Velde, who is behind in P3, as we have some more battles going on in picture-in-picture. This is the battle, though, that we are all waiting to see unfold, and it's going to happen here with 40 seconds to go. That will mean that there will be one more lap, I believe, after this as well. I'm not quite sure, but they go over the line right here to start what is going to be one of the last laps of the sprint race in the Alpine Esports Series round 2.
Let's see if Brouwer tries it here. This might be his only opportunity as they head into the braking zone now, into one of the slowest parts of the corners. Baldwin holds the middle of the road now. Brouwer's going to try, go all the way around the outside, but of course Baldwin's going to shuffle him wide. No way through. Huge moment, huge slide for Brouwer, and that will give the opportunity to James Baldwin to build a gap. That was all it took. He knew he had to try something, but it didn't quite work. And in picture-in-picture, you can see again Mattia and Page are side by side again, but Baldwin has got clear. Timer hit 0, so the checkered flag is going to come out when they come through Luffield now. So Baldwin will have survived the attacks from Dominic Brouwer to take a victory here in the sprint race as Mattia tries to get back by Marco Page. Super good fight between those guys, but what a great fight up at the top. Brouwer tried something there, but out of the final corner they'll come now. Checkered flag will drop this time, and for the first time this season it will be James Baldwin who will take the sprint race victory. Dominic Brouwer tried absolutely everything, but finishes in P2, and a really great effort from Tinko van der Velde, who has held on to third place for the entirety of that race, and Dennis Schöniger will finish in fourth. Page, Mattia, Fiala, Whitehead takes the final point as Tishkevich heads off to the wall as they cross the line, but the final point going the way of Luke Whitehead. What a great fight up at the top. I appreciate Brouwer trying to move around the outside, but Baldwin was never going to give him any room.
Oh no, for sure, especially over there. Obviously the next turn goes to the left, so if he was on the inside there, that would have probably been moved on, because on the outside you would be able to just completely pull him off the track, which we've seen actually in the very first lap, where one of the cars completely went on the grass, became a lawnmower, and just about held on. I believe that was Romagnoli actually, which I don't think he even finished in the points.
No, that was. He actually ended up getting. So there were some penalties given out as well.
Yeah,
I think
all
plenty
through,
of penalties being given out across the board. I think Matthias and Pedro picked up a drive-through right in the final lap as well. So lots happening. But Luke Whitehead did hold on to take the final point as well. Great job by Tinko van der Velde. I mean, he was under pressure for that whole race from.
But he didn't really have
cars.
to
Yeah, he
defend.
didn't. Yeah, exactly. Everyone else was fighting behind him, and he just held on, kept driving.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, we had some battles with Pejic and with Mattea. But think of Van der Velde, even though he was a little bit slower than the top two drivers, but just keeping it controlled. He didn't really have to go and contest for a different position to keep the position on track. I feel, though, the crucial part of this race was just keeping your line. Because if you didn't keep your line, we saw it a couple of times with Pejic as well. Yeah, it was so easy to lose a position because the quickest line was the apex.
Was, yeah, with Page trying to move around the outside. But again, as soon as he got off that line, of course, especially in the wet, it's sort of more pronounced. When the water is cleared off and an almost dry line forms, you go off that line, there is absolutely no grip. And that is where Dominic Blyer ended up. He saw the massive slide that he managed to pick up and dropped again about a second just by having that one moment. Thankfully, it happened to him in one of the slowest corners on the track for him there. But we'll be going through the results in just a few moments' time. But again, just having a look here, Lucas Mattia, Marco Page, again, great fight between those two. Super hard, but super fair. They gave each other racing room at all times, and that's what we like to see.
Oh, 100%. And luckily with these cars, you can also do a little bit of bumping. Not too much. We saw a couple of drivers do a little bit too much of bumping as well. They did get penalized for it, as our stewards are super on it today. They have to be, because obviously they're fighting for huge prizes. For anybody who doesn't know, and maybe you're just joining in, a warm welcome to the Alpine Esports Series. This was the sprint race that just has finished, but we have another one coming up, and that is going to be the main race, the big one of today, with qualifying coming up and the main race as well. There's huge prizes at stakes, with over $100,000 in Alpine fan token, and some prizes from partners as well, which only adds up to the excitement for us and the nerves for the drivers. And maybe some of the nerves have got the best of some of the drivers here in this very first race. We'll have to wait and see if this next race is going to contain some rain as well. But I do think the rain is going to spice things up here.
It definitely did, and we saw that already with the race that we just had and the qualifying as well. We got another qualifying session as well to go through as well. But speaking of partners as well, of course, Tobii is one of our partners as well. They have got a discount on the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. If you use the code Alpine Esports 2023, you can get yourself a nice discount on the Eye Tracker 5, which will certainly bring a new level to your sim racing enjoyment. So a big
it's
thank
really
you to
cool.
them.
You can actually, like, for example, in the F1 game, you can actually use it with the eye tracking, and you can actually see around. Like, it actually, if you look to the left, the camera looks to the left as well. It's really cool. And you can analyze your performance, like in Assetto Corsa, if you've done a race, you can analyze your performance, see where you can do better. Like, oh my goodness, I was actually looking somewhere where I completely shouldn't have looked. Stuff like that. It's really really cool in that regard as well. But yeah, let's see if any of the drivers. Actually, I remember last season some of the drivers were using some eye trackers in VR as well. I don't know if they're using it this year, but perhaps they are.
It must be quite hard to get used to seeing your vision moving around when your vision moves too. It's especially when you're when you're of course driving a sim racing car. You don't have the G-forces as well to help you. So it would be an interesting experience to try and learn that. But again, an awesome prize. Of course, we have it's one of the prizes for our drivers as well from our partners. Mm-hmm. If you want to get your hands on one, Alpine Esports 2023 is the code to go get yourself a Tobii Eye Tracker 5. And as well, of course, we will have the main race qualifying. That's a little bit longer at 11 minutes, so they will get an extra lap in here. Here is then the points as it stands. So this is from the race. Dennis Schiniger still leading on 40, but you can see now that gap has very much shrunk James Baldwin now moves up to second in the championship and is only 10 points now behind. Tinko van der Velde moving up a place as well into third, and Dominic Bleier now sits fourth, tied with Wojciech Fiala. Luke Whitehead moving up into sixth now as well. Maciej Malinowski, he's not here with us tonight, unfortunately, but he still sits P7. Charlie Crossland sits P8 for now. Marco Page moving into the top 10 with that 4 points scored in the sprint race, and Lucas Mattia now tied on points with the man he was fighting with, Marco Page, P10 in P9. But that is how crucial a 5-point outscoring there, very important. Gert Fischer and Kamil Pawlowski make up the 12 drivers who have scored points, but that was really important for James Baldwin to take a victory there, because that gap, 10 points, is a lot better than the 15-point gap that he came in with.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it shows that he was quick because he got pole position as well in this sprint race. We'll have to wait and see if it's going to be the same if the main race is going to be dry, because perhaps Dennis Schoeniger is going to have way better pace in the dry. Perhaps we'll see a completely different packing order when it is indeed dry, because dry running and wet running is completely different from each other. I don't know what I prefer, to be fair. Maybe wet, maybe dry. Maybe with wet, because then obviously the gaps are a little bit bigger because some people make mistakes. Or dry, because then you're just going to be consistent. Because I can imagine these drivers have practiced just dry, and then a little bit of rain just in case. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see if they're going to be more consistent even with the dry if it comes up.
Yeah, we'll wait and see, of course, and it could completely shift who's quick as well. Yeah. I mean, the rain suits certain drivers better, so we'll wait and see if it changes completely. If Dennis Schoeniger is more comfortable in the dry than he is in the wet. I mean, he was still quick in the wet, of course. He was still finishing P4, but it could bring some different guys up to the top of the pecking order as well. And it is a little bit longer, of course. It's a 25-minute race as well, so I'm not sure how much tire management will actually come into it, or even overheating the tires maybe could come into effect in this one. We'll wait and see. We'll obviously find out from one of our drivers if we get a chance to chat to them at all. But again, 10-point gap in the championship now. Wojciech Fiala will be very disappointed with that race. He came into that race second in the championship and has now dropped down to fourth. So he needs a big feature race here.
Oh, 100%. And remember, there's only 6 races in the season, right? We're basically halfway through the season now, which, milestone reached, right? So, hell yeah. We have 3 more races to go, with the main race coming up, and then, of course, 2 more in Valencia, which is going to be happening on the 25th of May. But today, we'll have one big one still, the big one, and also most points to be grabbed there as well. So, even if some drivers didn't get the result they wanted, there's still the big points to grab here, with 25 points for P1. So that can still be, I mean, somebody coming from outside of the top 10, inside the top, well, I would say like maybe even like, what is it, like 4 or something like that, or maybe even 3. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. And I think the nerves are gonna be even bigger for this one as well, with the main race coming up.
Absolutely. Well, main race is coming up very, very shortly. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back after this short ad break.
I never thought it would be that realistic, so it's very, very great.
So, welcome back to the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. If you did miss, here are the championship standings as we head into the feature race. Dennis Schoeniger still leading the championship by just 10 points on a total of 40. James Baldwin just behind on 30 points. And Tinko van der Velde slowly making his way into contention, third place in that race. And he's now in third in the championship, taking that off Wojtek Fiala, who scored 21 of the first round, needs a big feature race to try and close the gap again, drops down to fourth, and is now tied with Dominic Brouwer, who finished a great second place. Luke Whitehead picking up 8th place in that race. He's now on 15 points. Charlie Crossan and Maciej Malinowski, they are tied on points, but Maciej Malinowski not here with us this evening. And Lucas Mattia already outscoring how many points he got in the previous round, taking 3 points, and now tying with Marco Pejic, who he fought very, very hard for again. But that is the championship, how it stands right now heading into the feature race, which will be happening in just a few minutes' time. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back with you.
Hello, it's Paddy Pat here. I'm in Sonmere, where Alpine has set up an absolutely incredible stall here this year.
Track race today is showcasing what we can do to bring virtual with reality combined. We brought the T-Box motion sims behind us, and the people absolutely love it. They're queuing and they try over and over again to beat the lap time to actually be driving out on track with the real car later today.
For us, it's very important to reach out to wider gaming audience and fans. People have been queuing and really happy to get on the simulators, drive the A110 car on track and just enjoy, have a fun day.
The reaction so far has been absolutely incredible. There's people with smiles from cheek to cheek, enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying what we've got here, and it's been incredible so far.
And what a great event that was. So we will, of course, be heading across to qualifying very, very shortly. But if you are just joining us, you're more than welcome to the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. My name's Jack Cunnane. It's Thom Brouwer right next to me, who's doing a fantastic job. Great to have him back in the booth, as always.
Great to be here.
But it has an exciting race teed up for us in just a few moments' time. 11 minutes of qualifying coming up. James Baldwin taking a crucial victory to close the gap in the championship. Because, again, this is the third last race of this championship, so this is where big moments happen.
Oh, 100%. And this could be the first season where we have a double champion, perhaps. But it only depends on how either George, right, is going to do, or James Baldwin. With James Baldwin at the moment doing better from the two champions. So currently looking like the one taking the spot if that is going to happen. But yeah, no, regardless. We see a couple of new names as well at the top, which is always good to see, right? The quickest drivers in the world competing. And between those, it's just so small in terms of margins that like anybody really can be up there, but you need to be consistent, and I think the consistency is what makes a champion. And yeah, champions are going to be crowned, so obviously not tonight yet, right, but at some point later on. So yeah, hopefully this qualifying is going to be cool, but qualifying going to be completely different now because we're going to have an 11-minute qualifying, and maybe we'll see some drivers actually putting a little bit of fuel in the car, doing a couple of laps, going back in, and then doing a couple laps as well. Or with 11 minutes, it's still not too long. Perhaps you're just gonna put a full tank in, do the laps, and yeah, and get a good lap time in. But what we do know is that we have a little bit more time, a little bit less pressure on the drivers as well. So hopefully, even closer gaps. And maybe rain, maybe no rain. Let's see.
Let's see if the British weather keeps holding up. We'll wait and see. But yeah, the rain brought us a great race last time. But it would be interesting to have it dry because now that will completely switch everything again going into this race, of course. But again, we have the feature race today, and then another 2 weeks is the final two races of the championship. So this is a big race. This could really knock people out of championship contention at this race and bring people back into it. So that is the beauty of these races as well, fighting for
a huge prize pool. $100,000 prize pool, of course, 30,000 of that going towards the winner as well, and they get to drive this car in real life. Of course, fantastic prize. Once in a lifetime opportunity for these guys as well. So let's see if we'll get a double champion. Let's see if James Baldwin gets to do it again as he did before.
Yeah, it would be unfair. He's already driven the car. But I mean, it's really cool. Obviously, seeing those drivers who normally have only driven on a sim. We have a couple of drivers in here who also have driven a real race car, but mostly they're like me, you know, they're sitting in a simulator, driving at home, being incredibly good at it. But it's super cool to see how that actually translates onto a real track, which is super cool because like that's what Alpine stands for. That's what Alpine does. It wasn't without reason that I was the very first driver or sim racing driver that became an F1 driver as well, right? So we'll just go and have a look at a quick video, and then we'll be right back.
Nobody likes being left out. That's why Special Effect are helping people with physical disabilities to play video games. But this isn't just about having fun. The gaming setups we create are personalized, so people can play to the very best of their abilities. And that opens the door to inclusion and independence, confidence and creativity. Help us level the playing field and create more magical gaming moments. Because it's everyone's turn to play.
Cool. And you're welcome back to the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. We just saw the Tobii Eye Tracker 5. Remember, you can get yourself a discount on that using the code Alpine Esports 2023. Make sure to head over.
Did you see me in the video though? Did you see it?
Yeah. Did you spot him? Did you see him? Did you see him? If not, he's right here. We got him. No, that way, mirrors. So he sees that. Yeah, but yeah, of course, now we are in the moment of truth. We are back in qualifying for the feature race. It's underway. 11 minutes on the clock now. Drivers are back out onto the circuit. And of course, remember to claim your Alpine airdrops. The QR codes will keep popping up throughout the session, so keep yourself on top of that as well. But James Baldwin out in front, the first car, followed by Tinko van der Velde, I believe, and Kamil Pawlowski, the first three cars out. But it is dry, Thom, so now we get an interesting difference.
That's very nice. And obviously the very first car that went out on track last time out, and then is Schoeniger in P6 at the moment, or 6th on track, or a little bit further actually down. He's actually all the way at the back now, which it wasn't good luck that Dennis Schoeniger was out first on the track, as he is super close actually at the moment. I don't know what's going on here. He might be even too close then as he starts the lap. Because, oh no, that's not the start of the lap. It's a little bit earlier, right, where the start of the lap is. But that's a little bit too close for comfort. Maybe being in P1 is going to help James Baldwin this time around, knowing that it's going to be dry. But they're having some scraps on track already for track position here with Dennis and the other driver in the BenQ car. What's going on here then, Jack?
Yeah, this is amazing. Schoeniger have to go around the outside of Abbey Corner to try and get some track position, of course. It's very important, track position, especially in the dry. You see them all weaving, trying to get tire temperature as they head down into the braking zone. But again, it's going to get a little bit messy. They want to get brake temp, they want to get tire temperature as much as possible as well, but they just need a tiny bit of space to work with. That's worked out for James Baldwin and for Tinko van der Velde as they begin their first laps. They'll get an extra lap in this time compared to the dry sessions, but we'll get a nice comparison as between the lap times there. We're in the sort of 2-minute 12s for the previous time. You can see,
Oh,
look
look at
at
that.
this, they're stopped in Luffield trying to get track position. Does this not give you sort of Monza vibes with this sort of slipstream effect? This is crazy, because this is just costing themselves time and may lose themselves a chance to go for a lap, but they need that track position because you don't want to get caught by another car in front.
Oh, for sure you don't. Luckily, the track is very long, especially with these GT4 cars, because otherwise they would actually find the same cars that were in that little pile-up with the cars that actually started the laps. We're on board now, though, with the race winner from the last race, the sprint race. It's James Baldwin who comes through to the middle of the lap as he comes through a very cornery section where normally, if it was the Grand Prix style of this track, this would be the start-finish straight, but it's not the start-finish straight. The start-finish straight for the GT car is a little bit later on. You can see just a focus as he actually, I was going to say the focus, he doesn't even move as he scratches his nose in the middle of a lap. He still has time to scratch his nose here, but goes through the first couple of turns here over the Grand Prix track layout, which I'm used to. And it all looks actually very tidy. Trying to keep it as close as possible to the inside here. Not hitting the little baguette, as I like to call it, the red little curb, because then you're gonna get pushed out into the sky. You don't want to do that. Very close actually, almost touching the grass, which normally would slow you down a little bit, using all of the curbs, actually just about turning left when you see the sign to turn left as well. Then keeping it very tidy through the last turn here then, very close to the inside, actually go a little bit wider, then cut back to the inside. You can see Tinko van der Velde very close as well. He's using the slipstream on James Baldwin, and James Baldwin is going to go over the line to get a position number 1, because obviously he's the very first one. Tinko van der Velde though goes quicker, 0.6 of a second, huge!
That is a massive lap from Van der Velde, I know, but again, Tishkevich has beaten him. Look at that, Mateusz Tishkevich out of nowhere has gone to pole, but Brouwer beats him by 0.005 of a second. Look at the gaps up front. Wojciech Fiala 300ths back, but Dominic Brouwer is the fastest man by just 5/1000ths of a second. Let's see how close these guys can get, but that wasn't a great lap from Baldwin. He's 7/10ths off at the moment. Tishkevich has now been beaten, of course, by Dominic Brouwer, but Schoeniger now is the man to watch. Of course, he took pole last time out in Paul Ricard in both races. How is this pace in the dry? Comes up towards the line now, was fighting for track position earlier on. Where's this going to put him? Puts him to P5, 2/10ths off of the fastest car, but Dominic Brouwer by the smallest, the slimmest of margins, 0.005 of a second is all it is, but you can see it has mixed it up. James Baldwin's lap was sort of miles off. He'll need to go again.
Yeah, I mean, and looking at how much track he used there, Dennis Schoeniger, in that lap, I feel like James Baldwin actually left a little bit of track on the table there. If you looked at the very last turn there, where he, it looked like he was cutting the track, but I think it is allowed here, around here, but there's still a little bit of time left on the table there for him. As we go over the line then, or on board with Brouwer, P1 for the moment. He was there last race as well, fighting with James Baldwin, but now, for the moment, he is in the lead, which means he is probably feeling very confident right now. Out of nowhere, though, Tishkevich in P2, 0.005 of a second. That's literally a blink of an eye, even less than that.
Yeah, it really is. I think a blink of an eye is somewhere in the region of 2/10ths.
Yeah.
So these guys are separated by literally less than a blink of an eye from some P5 up to P1. But you can see Van der Velde just looks quicker because he consistently seems to be closer to Baldwin. Let's see if this is going to be an improvement for either of them. Here comes Baldwin now. He's 13th at the moment. Needs a big improvement here. Comes up to the line now. Van der Velde looks like he might improve as well. Crosses the line. Goes to P6, much better. Van der Velde does improve, but still doesn't move up. It's still 0.08 off. And Kamil Pawlowski is now sits in P5, just a 10th back. This is super close. Brouwer comes across the line. Does he improve? Yes, he does. Goes even quicker. 2 minutes 7.580. But Wojciech Fiala has beaten him by just 100th.
Oh my goodness, crazy qualifying so far. We still have 4 minutes remaining. One of the top contenders in the race last time out, Marco Betic, coming through the very last turn. He also using quite a lot of the track there. Going over the line though, it's going to be P6 then. Thereabouts where he was in that sprint race too. Now though, on board with Shopchik, who could be doing a very quick lap here as well. Closing into the car in front. Maybe he's going to get a little bit of slipstream there, but I think he's too far away to actually get a huge heap of slipstream. Currently he's 1 second off, but the gaps at the moment are incredibly close. If you compare it to the rainy qualifying of the sprint qualifying, it is so much closer here. He is going to get a little bit of a slipstream then, as he's very, very close. There's a couple of other cars coming out on track once again, and my prediction of the cars going for a second run was correct. They're going to go back into the pits, put a little bit more fuel in the car, put probably some new tires on as well. Yeah, it is definitely something that they like, having not too much fuel in the car. If I were them, but I'm not quick, I would probably put a little bit more fuel in the car and just keep going and improving. But yeah, I guess you just want as light of a car as possible.
Yeah, and you also would like some fresh tyres that are not overheated a certain amount as well. So we'll see that. I'm just looking at these sectors. Baldwin is 3/10 off in the first sector, but is 2/10 quicker than anybody in the final sector. So if he cleans up, he does seem to have that pace, but it's that first sector. Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're dead right. I mean, he could be carrying. I mean, that first sector is mostly flat out. So it could be maybe just carrying more wing or something like that on the rear. So we'll wait and see. But that's really interesting. 3/10 in the first sector he loses, but gains 2/10 back in the final. So it will be interesting to see. This is going to be this is the closest qualifying so far, but really important for Wojciech Fiala, of course. Remember, he didn't have a good sprint race. Needs a really strong feature race here to keep himself in championship contention. Dennis Schoeniger, though, is currently sharing a role with James Baldwin. That would be interesting to have those two on the same row of the grid.
Oh, for sure. The championship contenders side by side on the start. Whether it's for P1 or whether it's for P7 and P8. I mean, I'm here for it, 100%. We're on board though now with Charlie Crossan going over the line. 7/10 off he is now though. Is he gonna improve? Oh, hugely. 3/10 shaved off and he is up into P9, which would be a point scoring position. But we go on board with the championship leader at the moment, Dennis Schoeniger, who is on a lap as well. Very, very quick at the moment, I do believe, through the last and final turn. 3.5 tenths down at the moment. Where is he gonna be? Over the line, it's going to be a P1. 38 thousandths of a second, and he has a 207.5. Will anybody get close? Chichkiewicz coming in as well on a very, very quick lap. He is all on his own at the moment. Is he going to be able to go and tip the lap time of Dennis Schoeniger? What do you think, Jack?
It's going to be very, very close, isn't it? I mean, Chichkiewicz, this is impressive pace from him. It's sort of come from nowhere, but that is strong in the dry here. But that is a huge lap from Dennis Schoeniger. He needed that. Has 2/10 quicker than everybody in the final sector. Same as Baldwin. It's a similar sort of setup. Looks like it's going on right there. But here comes Chichkiewicz then, looking for a 1/10 of a second or more improvement here. Comes over the start finish. Is it enough? He goes to third, 400ths of a second off of pole position, thousandths of a second off of second. So there's still more cars still to come. Tinko van der Velde is behind James Baldwin. That is Baldwin in front and followed closely by Tinko van der Velde. These are super important laps for van der Velde and for Baldwin. Baldwin sits P9 currently. He needs a big improvement on this lap. Van der Velde could be on for a good one here as well. Out of the final corner, 14 seconds on the clock. They'll have another chance at another lap if they want to. But across the line now, Baldwin in front will cross the line first. What will it be for him? He goes to 7th. Van der Velde goes to pole, 10th of a second clear. What a lap from Van der Velde.
Crazy lap here then, as the top 4 was basically within 50 thousandths of a second. Van der Velde goes even quicker. However, Brouwer goes over the line, who was super quick as well in the last race, goes P2. 40 thousandths of a second here as the gap closes in once again. Track maybe getting a little bit quicker, or the driver just fully sending it. Fiala with a lap 2, 75 thousandths. Everybody coming in with the last few laps here then, as they've all finished except for Tinko van der Velde. Is he doing a lap still? Probably not. Isaac very, very quick as well, who competed in the 2021 season of the Alpine Esports Series. He absolutely demolished me when I was driving, and he is doing pretty decent here too. Dennis Schoeniger though, with one final lap, is he going to go and improve? There's going to be a car in front of him. I am not sure. It's going to be not an improvement. It's going to be P4 for him, and he is going to be quicker than James Baldwin, unless James Baldwin is still on the lap. But Isaac Gillison at the moment, as we are on board, comes through the last couple of turns. P10 for him at the moment, and there could be an improvement still. Is he gonna go and gain a few more positions for a very good starting position? Yes, he is, and it's a P7, and that is exactly what he wanted here, in a very good point scoring position already.
Yeah, I believe Baldwin might still be on a lap, but we'll see. I think he's actually pulled it in. No, he's not on a lap at the moment. So that is P10 for Baldwin. And Tinko van der Velde with a huge lap at the end, 400th of a second, and sharing the front row again. Dominic Brouwer P2 in both qualifying, so he'll be really pleased with how that went. And Wojciech Fiala starting on the same row as Dennis Schoeniger. That will be very, very interesting to watch. Fiala absolutely has to outscore Dennis Schoeniger to try and keep himself in the championship fight here as well. But that is not what James Baldwin needed to be starting down in P10. It's still points, but he needs to be way further up.
Luckily, it's still possible, right? Because from P10 going to a podium position is 100% still going to be possible. It's a long race, 25 minutes, and obviously the management of the tires is going to play into effect as well. Whereas with the sprint race, I mean, it wasn't maybe long enough to actually really have the effect of the tires. It was raining as well, so maybe the tires were actually able to go longer. So it's really interesting to see now if that setup, right? Remember, the setup of James Baldwin, who was a little bit slower in the first sector, where, of course, you have not that many turns, and he was quicker in the one with the turns. Let's see if that's going to play into effect, if it's actually going to help him, because, yeah, doing those overtakes, you're probably going to have to do it in turns here.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, but it was an interesting comparison. But yeah, Tinko van der Velde was the man who took pole. There it is, sharing the front row with Dominic Brouwer. Of course, Tinko has worked his way into that top 5 in the championship as well. So this could be a huge round for him as well to bring him right into contention. Dominic Brouwer on the front row as well. This could be a big one for him. Wojciech Fiala sharing the second row of the grid with Dennis Schoeniger. Mateusz Tyszkiewicz as well, a great effort at P5 for him. Lucas Mattia, he'll be happy with that P6. Isaac Gillison up in P7, great job of Isaac Gillison. James Baldwin will actually start P8 according to that. Marko Pejic in P9 and Kamil Pawlowski in P10, so not as bad. So Baldwin actually did improve. He was on a final lap and did improve, but P8 for him, so not as bad as it was before. Kamil Pawlowski in P10. Luke Whitehead once again starting P11. He started P11 in the sprint race and will start P11 again. Charlie Crossland P12. Matthias Cunnane P13. Mattia Zampedri in P14. And Michael Romagnoli in P15 for this one. Then we have Thorsidlo in P16, Gert Fischer, Johan Bergera, Wojtyna, Sobczyk, Nikolay, Mamad, Patad, and Nowakovski in P24 for this one. This is going to be really intriguing because we're sort of like, we've mentioned Van der Velde, he's got pole and all that, but looking back at those championship standings, I mean, he's a dark horse. Yeah, he has been fighting for like P5, P6, in most of the races so far, including the one we just saw in the sprint race. But now he has to go and show that he can do it on the top of the field as well, where the top drivers with the best pace are going to try and overtake him. Obviously, he was very good in defending in the last race, but will he be able to do it when drivers are actually going to try and go for the moves? Or is he going to be able to drive away? He couldn't do it in the sprint race, so maybe his race pace is a little bit different than the qualifying pace. We'll have to wait and see, though. We'll have to wait and see. But what is for sure is that this race that you're about to watch is going to be absolutely amazing, absolutely epic. The prizes that are at stake are huge. So these drivers are, at the moment, as they are on the grid, are going to be nervous. They're going to be ready to go. The heart's bumping at a heart rate of, I don't know, whatever is just about healthy. I've got the same, though. I can feel it as well. And I hope you do too. But we get ready as all the drivers go and get themselves onto the starting grid. Jack, take it away. 25 minutes, and this could be a big championship-defining race. Then Tinko van der Velde will lead them away in just a few seconds' time to begin the feature race here at Silverstone. Dominic Brouwer next to him. Green flag will drop, and we will get ourselves underway for the sprint race for the feature. Well, but again, Brouwer keeping him honest through the first corner as well. They all run wide, but Brouwer side by side with Van der Velde as they head down towards Maggots and Beckett for the first time in this race. Brouwer now will try to hang around the outside. Look at that from Brouwer. Goes offline a little bit there, and look at that Schoeniger challenging him into the next part of the corner as well. He's up in position, trying to get second now. Dennis Schoeniger up the inside. A little bit of contact. Brouwer runs off the road, and that'll be Schoeniger moving up, I think, into P2, unless he can get in front. No, he can't. But Van der Velde sprints clear out front, and it's a good start there from those guys behind. Fiala fighting with Schoeniger.
Schöniger as they head into the next part, into Stowe for the first time of asking in this race. Again, Brouwer and Schöniger side by side through Stowe, trying to hang around the outside. Crucial championship moments for him on the outside line, heading into the braking zone for this slow part of the corner. Inside line for Brouwer, outside line for Schöniger. He's going to run deep and give the position away, and now we'll have to fight with Wojciech Fiala, but perfect start from the view of Tinko van der Velde. He's clear up front.
Oh man, what a start. A little bit of wheel banging in the first turn as well. As it continues on now then, we have a battle for P5, and it's so close that if there's a tiny mistake, and you saw Dennis Schöniger just braking a little bit too late. You saw if you're offline, you're on the dirty part, it's super tough to keep your position, because there's so much more speed you can carry through the corners if you're taking that apex. As we can see some defending going on here then. That's side by side with 3 drivers then, and a little bit of banging there on the outside as we see Mr. Pawlowski getting attacked on the outside. He has to keep it hanging though, and actually almost gets boxed in between the driver in front, the driver on the left hand side. You need to watch out, don't put him to the inside, which he does actually, but he has a little bit of space trying to defend from the car behind and the outside. It's absolute chaos with another car trying to go all the way around. No space though, but luckily he does get left a little bit of space there. Goes up the inside, almost gets 2 drivers, but does get his beloved teammate car with the same livery car there. It is absolute chaos here, side by side everywhere. I don't even know where to look anymore, Jack.
Crazy stuff. This is what we want to see, and they're going to go side by side in towards Copse turn 1 on the second lap. This is Callum Pawlowski on the outside, Charlie Crossland going up the inside as they head through that corner as well. Really close, and this is for sort of the tail end of the points as well. So big moments here as Pawlowski slots in behind the car of Charlie Crossland, but up front 9/10 of a second is the gap between Van der Velde and Dominic Brouwer. Crucial start by Schöniger getting in front of Wojciech Fiala. Good start from James Baldwin though, up to P7 and going with that lead group. That's exactly what he needs to do, and they all file through. Everyone getting through cleanly in this first part of the race, but Van der Velde now with a 9/10 of a second lead just needs to keep managing that gap up front, and he can maybe put a big dent in the championship lead of Dennis Schöniger at the moment. But still lots of time to go, still 21 minutes to go, and Matthias Kuhn holding currently that final points pin position, but I don't know how long he's going to be able to hold on to that with all of these guys trying to get by him.
Oh, 100%. There's going to be more position changes. As we see, actually, towards Zitlo with a fast lap at the moment, you can see all the grid is within a second of each other still. All the way from P1 to P23 with Mamad. So one little mistake, one big battle between 4 cars, and you could just gain 4 positions in one turn here. But we are on board with Mateja at the moment. In the meantime, if you haven't yet claimed your Alpine airdrop, the QR code is on screen right now. Get your phone out, pop, and get the Alpine airdrop. It's going to be on screen probably the last time here. So make sure you get the scanning. But we have some big battles going on right here in the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. If you're just joining in, you're joining in right on time, because it's 21 minutes remaining, and this is the big race where we've had a very good start, a very clean start as well, which is always great to see. And we have Baldwin trying to gain some positions which he hasn't yet, trying to get closer to his championship rivals, as he got a little bit closer in the sprint race. Ooh, look at that. How is that? It's just got to the track, is it, at this point, Jack?
I mean, that is a part of the track that you can really extend through just the little kink right there. So they are using, and in absolutely all of it throughout there. Dennis Schöniger currently the fastest lap of the race so far, sitting in P3. Gap starting to form between Charlie Crossland and Matthias Kuhn. That's for P10. So these guys need to, if they are quicker, need to sort of work together to try and close that gap up again to get themselves closer to the points. Luke Whitehead is in the middle of that there, and towards Zidlow in P15 is also in the midst of that as well. But Slipstream Train is in effect right now as they try to. There's a big fight going on right here. That's Charlie Crossland and Callum Pawlowski who are fighting side by side for P11. And again, you can see Crossland trying to hang it around the outside. Will get shown the outside by Pawlowski. They just leave each other enough room. Matthias Zampedri fancies a bit of this as well as he comes into the braking zone. Look at that, Zampedri making it 3 abreast. Nearly doesn't quite have enough room. A little bit of contact. Crossland will hang on for now. The switchback underneath there from Zampedri and from Luke Whitehead, who tries to get through on the inside as well, side by side through what would be the final corner on the F1 layout. And looks like Zampedri will actually get himself through to on the inside towards turn 1. Less Crossland fans to go around the outside. Contact through the corner though, and that'll send Pedri very wide, and Luke Whitehead will pick up the pieces and move up 2 places in the space of 1 corner, just like that. So that'll be an interesting one for him there, as there's a little bit more contact through the corner right there. But aggressive, trying to send it around the outside there. That corner is so narrow. But what I am looking at, Tom, is that Brouwer has closed in massively to our leader. Gap is now 4/10.
Oh, in the meantime though, as well, at the back you can see Dennis Schoeniger has closed in that gap as well. So it's a 3-way fight for the lead. And Brouwer, once again in his comfortable spot here. He was in that P2 spot in the last race as well. And I feel like his strategy is just to stay behind. Let Tinko van der Velde get his, basically just... Bring the heat, you know, let him feel the pressure, and then once the pressure is the highest in the last and final lap, he's going to attempt it, which he did as well in the last race, but it did not really work out. So maybe he's going to adapt his strategy and do it a little bit earlier this time around, but we'll have to wait and see. And in the meantime as well, it is Brouwer with the fastest lap of anybody else, so he is for sure pushing in that P2 position, and he has his eyes on P1 there. Let's see how long it's going to take though for him to actually go for an attempt, but it's looking very, very close right now as well, as he closes in the slipstream. And of course, Tinko van der Velde does not have slipstream here. He closes in slowly but surely as they get to the next turn. It's 2 tenths, so he can send it anywhere he wants right now, but where is he going to do it, and is he going to do it?
Yeah, that's the big question. Is he going to do it? But again, Tinko van der Velde in the sprint race, he was under pressure for the whole race, held them behind as they fought behind, so now they will probably learn that lesson. They've also managed to break away from Wojtek Fiala. Gap is 1.4 seconds back to P4, and that big train that's happening of Tiszkiewicz with Mattia, Baldwin, Gillison, Marco Pejic is that big train there as they head through. That'll be Abbey corner for now, but Dominic Brouwer looks like the fastest man at the moment. Schoeniger is sort of just sitting behind and watching, and he'll wait for these guys to sort of go side by side, because that will open a gap for him to try a move, maybe up the inside or outside, wherever he fancies it. But 17 minutes on the clock, there's more time to play with here, and Dominic Brouwer looking for his first win of this season. And let's see if he can be again, if he can stand on 2 podiums this season, second in the sprint race, and see if he can turn it into a win in the feature race. But van der Velde, he'll be wanting to hold on to his first win. He took a podium in the feature race last time out, but he'll want to try and hang on to this, but is under a lot of pressure from Dominic Brouwer. Right behind him, Dennis Schoeniger as well. These guys, of course, will be very familiar with each other from being in the same team with each other as well, so they will know what it's like to race together. Lucas Mattia, though, under pressure from James Baldwin, but also piling the pressure onto Tiszkiewicz as well. You can sort of see a little gap forming between themselves and Fiala, so they'll want to try and get clear and try to, if at all possible, close up to Dennis Schoeniger. But those guys have sort of broken away. They need the top 3 to start fighting to get back in with these back in with top guys.
Oh, 100%. Obviously, you see that gap between Dennis Schoeniger and Fiala as well. Fiala now getting a little bit of a gap to Tiszkiewicz, but it's all about trying to not battle here, because if you're starting to battle, you'll see those gaps forming, because these guys are almost identical on pace with each other. As you can see in P1, I think that's the strategy, right? You want to try and stay close, and then once you think, okay, now if we have a battle, we can't necessarily lose a position anymore, there's less risk. When we're at the end of the race, that's when you want to attack, which we have seen a lot. Normally, oh, look at that, a big move there, and actually a little bit of braking there, or he's moving under braking, or maybe even braking super late and then moving right before. But it's very, very close now between Mateja and Tiszkiewicz, which I think Mateja is thinking as well, I have to do it now. It's crucial, because if he doesn't do it now, he's gonna be stuck, and then Fiala is gonna drive off into the distance, into the horizon, and he's gonna say bye, 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 I see you later. This is the one, I think, as he goes up the inside, then brakes a little bit later and can't quite do it, because you can see Tiszkiewicz is going to go super, super late once again on the brakes. Different lines then, which is exactly what you want to do, and it's going to try and get a better traction zone. Uses all the track on the outside then pull up to the inside and use all the track on the outside again. Exactly right there. Slipstream then, where of course he's actually going to pull up to the inside here. There could be a move where he brakes incredibly late here. No, not quite. It seems like Tiszkiewicz actually has a little bit more skill, or maybe the setup is more prone to being able to brake later here, because he's been later on the brakes the entire time compared to Mattia.
Yeah, he was super late on the brakes into that last sector there, through Vale and Club. You could see he went deep, but because that corner is so tight, he was able to park the car on the apex on the exit. So it was a good example of defending there. But you can see how much time that's cost. That's cost them a second to the cars up front. That's cost them at least a second to Fiala. But you can see Brouwer really close to Tinko van der Velde. This is probably the closest he's been through this sector now. Will he go for it now? 0.2 of a second gap up at the front. If he can get clear, now's the time to do it. 2 seconds to Fiala as well. Down the straight they go. Van der Velde trying to break the slipstream now. Moves to the outside line. And now, will this be the opportunity for Dominic Brouwer? If he can get alongside Van der Velde, moving back to the racing line again. Not quite there for Dominic Brouwer yet, but trying to put the pressure on through the middle of the corner. Dropping down through Vale into Club corner now. Shows himself in the mirrors to the car in front. Van der Velde getting the pressure put on. Brouwer looks down the inside, but he'll have the outside for the next corner now. Van der Velde leaves him room. Schoeniger, the door's opening for him now. Has the inside for the last corner on the F1 layout. Up towards Abbey now, side by side between Schoeniger and Brouwer. They'll have to slot into position here, I think, as Brouwer just about gets clear. I think Schoeniger lifted off slightly there to let him back in as they head through Abbey corner up towards the village section for this next time of asking. Brouwer is all over Van der Velde, but Van der Velde defended that nicely into that corner. But it does look like these two both have more pace now as Brouwer looks back to the inside again, but might be vulnerable to a switchback from Dennis Schoeniger as they head down towards the next part of the course now, dropping down towards Brooklands, and that has cost them a full 0.7 of a second to Wojtek Fiala in the background as well. He's closing in as they fight now. Van der Velde weaves back to the right hand side to try and defend against Brouwer. Schoeniger looks to the inside, but no way through for him just yet. But Van der Velde absorbing this pressure, knew the attack was coming, placed his car brilliantly.
And this is exactly why Brouwer stayed behind in the previous race and did not try the attack, because this whole lap he's been trying to defend from just that one moment where he tried to go and take the inside on the car of Tinko van der Velde in that last and final turn. And he had to pay for it. He had to defend the whole lap then and almost conceded the position to Dennis Schoeniger. So it's all or nothing really, and this one just about wasn't nothing, but it could have been a position lost here by Dominic Brouwer if he didn't have that good exit through the traction zone there. But is he going to attempt it again though? He knows that if he stays behind, he's gonna be very, very prone to being overtaken here as well by the car behind. He's going to be very, very close, and if you can see them waving to the left and right, you know he's going to try and go for a move, and I think exactly that's what they're doing right there. As you can see, Dominic Brouwer getting closer and closer and closer. Where is he going to do it? Is he going to defend the inside? No, he's going to stay behind for now and attempt to move later. If he goes for the move, he's probably going to do it on the inside of this one, because he knows he'll have the outside for the next one, and it's not going to be the one yet. He's going to stay behind for now, and I think he is going to have to need a little bit of a breather. Actually, right here, Dennis Schoeniger with a huge move on the inside, and it's going to do the exact same thing as the last time. However, around the outside for the car of Brouwer means better traction zone, more speed carried through the corner, and just about keeps the position. And as they keep fighting, it is now Fiala, 1.2 seconds. He's gained 0.5 of a second here, and he is almost within a point where he can use a little bit of the slipstream once again. However, now it seems like 10 minutes left in this race. It's going to all unfold with just a little bit of time left. These drivers will feel the pressure of going for moves now, and it seems like Tinko van der Velde has actually gotten a little bit of a gap here with Dennis Schoeniger now trying to go for a move as well. He's going to go very defensive, keeping the inside. Dennis Schoeniger then trying the outside, going to try and break it very, very deep. Is Brouwer going to park it on the apex though? He is. However, it's going to be Dennis on the outside, keeping a little bit of space as well. Goes very wide, is going to have the inside there then, and is he going to keep it there? I'm not quite sure. It's going to be side by side on the exit, and it's still going to be side by side. They keep enough space for each other to keep them on the track as we go to the main straight. Then it's going to be Dennis Schoeniger still on the inside. It's beautiful racing here, no taps whatsoever, and this one is so quick that if they get through here alive together side by side, that's going to be a feet and a half, and they do. Whoa, crazy.
Amazing. But that's given Van der Velde a whole second. He's gone up at the front, a whole second, and enter Wojtek Fiala into the fight right now as well. They cost themselves a whole second fighting with each other for that whole part of the lap. And this is the other championship contender, Wojtek Fiala. He'll be thanking them for battling so hard. And then while that was happening, James Baldwin has passed Lucas Mattia and is now chasing after Tishkevich in front. These guys are now in this fight as well. So that small battle, well, that big battle, has really closed in, but that's given Tinko van der Velde 1.2 seconds to play with. He'll be very, very pleased with that, and they'll now have to work hard to get back up to him again. So let's see how that unfolds. Lucas Mattia losing the place to James Baldwin. Marco Pejic now in P8, closing up to him as well as they fight for position. But the car that he definitely does not want to see behind him right now, Dennis Schöniger, is his championship rival, Wojtek Fiala. P4 had a poor sprint race and now would really love to outscore the championship leader as he tries to keep his championship hopes alive. But Tinko van der Velde is desperate to hang on to this win. This would be a huge result if he can hang on to it.
Oh, 100%. And it's almost like a replay of the sprint race where everybody's fighting behind Tinko and he's just driving away into the sunset, not having to defend. Because he had to defend a little bit, but he's not really been side by side. It's just been P2 and P3 being side by side. So, yeah, very interesting here. As we go to P2 once again, it's now 1 second of a gap. It does seem like Dominic Brouwer has more pace. And now that he once again can use a little bit of the slipstream, he's going to be able to close in unless the car behind of him is going to attempt an overtake again. Obviously, every single point matters, and especially at the top, because P1 gets 25 points, P2 18, and P3 15. So obviously 3 points of a difference between P2 and P3, but you want to get that P1 because 25 points is what you want to have if you want to try and fight for the championship, which is only 2 more races. 1 more round, 2 more races after this race. So it's all to play for here, but still it is going to be very important to score as many points as possible. But like you said, James Baldwin on P6 as well. Very important for him to get through the field too, to be as consistent as possible. And even if he doesn't score as many points as you want to go and get the championship position to win, being in that point scoring position is going to be very important. So that's good to see.
Yeah, he'll have his championship head on as well. But Dennis Schöniger is now back on the tail of Dominic Brouwer, who goes again differing lines on the entry there as they came in through Stowe Corner, but hangs on for now. Van der Velde has sort of maintained this gap on this level. Get an update as he crosses over the next timing line. But 1.1 seconds is the gap in front. 6 minutes and 50 seconds to go in this race. So just a couple more laps.
He was a 10th quicker than Brouwer.
Yeah, he was. It's a 10th quicker. Of course, the Brouwer is having to defend, but again, Van der Velde managing this beautifully up at the front of this, and this is exactly what he needs to be doing. Brouwer trying to hang on to another P2. I think he'll obviously grab with both hands, but has to try and fight off the current championship leader and the other championship contender of Wojtek Fiala at the moment. You can see Schöniger trying to go for that switch back line, but Brouwer was wise to that on the exit, but a poor exit from Brouwer. Now he comes onto the back straight there. The door opens for Schöniger straight through on the inside, side by side down towards Brooklands now, and Schöniger has the inside for this next corner, and this should be job done unless Brouwer tries to go around the outside, but he can't do it. One mistake was all it took, and Schöniger goes through on the inside. Brouwer will try to hang it around the outside now, but of course he won't get given the room on the outside, and Schöniger finally goes through on the inside, moves up to P2. That shows you one small error, and he can't stays up to P2.
One small error, which we actually had a beautiful POV from. Brouwer down to P3 here with Dennis Schöniger in P2. It's going to be all to play for still, like you said, because Fiala is very, very close now. 0.2 of a second to the car of Brouwer. Even though he holds the fastest lap, he wasn't the fastest car last lap around, because that was Tinko van der Velde in P1, and now 1.7 seconds in front. As we see a little bit of a look from Fiala then. I would not do it there. I would wait, Fiala, for the long straight. straight as we have a very, very close battle between these Infinite Drive and Quad cars. It is a beautiful move there on the outside then. However, you want to try and get that exit speed, and he's gonna get the exit speed because he's literally bump drafting almost in the turn, trying to go and get past here on this long straight. He's gonna get the slipstream there, go and pulls off to the right hand side, tries to go and get the inside, but you need to go and outbrake him as well. Will he be able to do it? Luke Whitehead in the P13 car. He does indeed, and he's going to be up in that position for the moment. But some big gaps now between some of the cars. You can see definitely that being in the train is going to be positive for them because they're able to keep a very steady pace. But a couple of gaps here between P10 and P11 especially, so Matthias Kuhn is probably not going to sweat too much, knowing that he's probably going to get a point unless the drama unfolds, and we always see the drama unfold in the last couple of laps because there are 4 minutes remaining in this race, and there's always some segments in the race, right, where it's going to be starting off quick, right? The drivers want to have the positions in the first few laps, then it goes and slows down, a little bit of tire saving, a little bit of fuel saving, getting ready, and then at the end of the race, they all become very active again, and that is starting right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. I'm just looking at that. Van der Velde 0.3 of a second quicker than the guys behind him on the previous lap, so he's flying out front. The gap's nearly 2 seconds, so he just needs to just maintain that, just avoid the mistakes and keep on, and he should secure himself his first victory of the season. But again, can't count out Dennis Schoeniger. He is super quick, but he is under a lot of pressure from Dominic Brouwer. Gap is now 2 seconds. You can see it there. Previous lap, 2 minute 8.6 for Dennis Schoeniger, 0.2 for Van der Velde compared, but Schoeniger was wide there coming out of Kopp's corner. So again, Brouwer now has the chance to apply the pressure. Schoeniger was behind him for most of this race, and now Brouwer has the chance to follow and try and put some pressure on this man in front of me. Also, Wojciech Fialczyszkiewicz is now very much in the fight there in P5, only half a second off the rear, and then you have James Baldwin right behind and Lucas Mattia as well. Now the slipstream kicking in for Dominic Brouwer. Now will he have a go on Dennis Schoeniger up towards the next part of the corner? Defence put on by Dennis Schoeniger up towards the next part of the corner, has the outside, will try to look for the switchback on the inside, doesn't want to leave too much of a gap for Wojciech Fiala to slot through either as they head down the hill now into Vale and Club. Shows himself to the inside, but no way through on the next part of the corner here. So very close racing for P2 right here. Big points for Schoeniger. He can't afford to lose this position really because he has all his championship rivals right behind him. But when they cross the line next time, I think it will be the final lap of this race. So it's going to be tense moments for Dennis Schoeniger.
Oh, 100%. And now that everybody is incredibly close for that P2, one little fight can mean everyone side by side. And I'm going to predict it right here. Last and final lap, we are going to see like three cars side by side in this pack here. I think there's going to be a move here from Dominic Brouwer, and I think it's going to end not in tears but in a big fight because everyone behind is feeling, they can smell the points, they can smell they can smell the points like right in front of them. They want it. They absolutely want it. But it's going to be very tense then right now. And there we go. It might already be unfolding because you can see Brouwer going a little bit wider. Viala trying to go for a move as well, but he couldn't quite. But you can see one tiny moment, and they're all there to try and profit from it.
Yeah, we're going on to the final lap of the race. Tinko van der Velde is clear out front, 2.3 seconds. And Brouwer has now given Schoeniger a bit of breathing space. Half a second is all it is now. So now we call that a huge gap in this championship. There's Tinko van der Velde all by himself out in the lead of this race. And again, has survived the pressure. Just needs to survive for one more lap around Silverstone. But there's still going to be huge battles happening behind him right now. This will do wonders for his championship as well. This will bring him right into it. In this championship, of course, outscoring Schoeniger and closing the gap. This could move him up and even up into second in the championship, depending on the scores. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll give you all the details at the end of this race, but there's still half a lap to go, 45 seconds on the clock, and no moves being made behind. Again, everyone being almost nearly too patient through this next part. But I think you are right, Tom. I think it's all going to kick off in this final sector once they get through Abbey. It will get very interesting. Brouwer still holds the fastest lap of the race, but now is trying to put pressure
on the championship leader. 20 seconds on the clock now, just a couple more corners for Tinko van der Velde to negotiate, and these guys to negotiate. But I don't think anyone is actually close enough to try a lunge here. But there is Tinko up at the front, took a podium last week, and then it took another podium in the sprint race this week, and now just has 4 more corners to negotiate to finally get himself up to the top step of the podium. And this will mean he will be right in this championship fight going into the final round in just 2 weeks' time. Flawless today in this feature race, held on under severe pressure from everybody behind, including Dennis Schillinger, including Dominic Brouwer. Didn't crack under it either, had so much attacks coming his way, but he's coming through now, through Brooklands, heading down into Luffield for the final time, and this will be now his first ever victory in this championship this season. Round the final corner, the feature race, the lights come on for the Alpine Esports Series, round number 2. It goes to Tinko van der Velde, who wins the feature race here in Silverstone with a flawless drive from the very start. Dennis Schillinger, he hangs on to second, Dominic Brouwer in third, and it's Wojtek Fiala in P4. And look at the gap between Tyszkiewicz and Baldwin, 700ths across the line, but Tyszkiewicz hangs on for 5th. It's Baldwin 6th, Matthias 7th, Page 8th, Gillison in 9th, and the final point going to Matthias Kuhn in P10. Incredible race once again, but flawless from Tinko van der Velde. That's exactly what he needed.
Yeah, it was a flawless race, sprint race and main race from him. He didn't really have to battle. I don't remember a battle from Tinko van der Velde.
No, apart from that one time that Brouwer tried it on the outside, yeah.
It was barely side by side. It was perfect. He positioned his car in the perfect positions where the car behind was in a position that he didn't want to be in. And you could see it every single time when somebody tried to battle with Tinko van der Velde. The car behind just lost positions. Like we saw Brouwer being in big troubles there. And because of that, 2.2 seconds was the gap in the end. Because once you don't have that slipstream, yeah, you lose so much time. And you have to punch the air by yourself, right?
Yeah, because he knew that the attacks would come in the same place. He placed his car nicely, and he knew that if he gave Brouwer the outside, that Schillinger would attack on the inside, and then he gains a gap. So that's exactly what happened. Beautifully played by him, and again, a great solid race from Schillinger. Gets another podium, of course. And Dominic Brouwer P2 and P3 today, compared to his previous round. That is much better from him. And Wojtek Fiala recovering well for that 4th place finish, and a great result, I have to say. Mateusz Tyszkiewicz up in the top 5. I think he'll be really happy with where he's ended up there. But Baldwin P6 from where he started, not too bad from P6, but sort of has done the best I suppose he could from that position, and scores points. Again, got to keep scoring points in this championship, and it could become crucial coming into the next round. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, 100%. It's going to be very, very close towards the end for sure. Obviously, Dennis Schillinger is in a very, very good spot right now. But yeah, it's all to play for still, because you can still score 35 points at most. So, like, I think in that regard, like, James Baldwin is still in it, easily, right? So, yeah, you never know. You never know what happens. And I remember actually very well the championship where he won it last year. He was actually was taken out in a race as well. But let's go. We have Tinko van der Velde now, the new championship. I'm sorry, 50. This is the result of today. 50 points here. So he did almost score the most amount of points. No, sorry. It's not in the right order here. 50 points. Dennis Schillinger in P2 with 58 points. He's P1 in. I see. Okay, so the main results here: 25 points for Tinko van der Velde, Dennis Schillinger in P2 with Brouwer in P3, Wojtek Fiala P4 with Tyszkiewicz, who we didn't see in the sprint race, actually scoring very good points here in P10. James Baldwin, less points scored in this main race than he had in the sprint race with Lucas Matea, once again scoring points as well with 6. Marko Pejic in P8 here for this event today in round 2 with 4 points today in the main race, and then Isaac Gillison with the very first points for today, 2 points with Matthias Kuhn in that P10 position.
Yep, so again, big points scored from everybody there. Dennis Schoeniger still managing to come out, I think. Well, we'll obviously get confirmation after, of course, all provisional, but it looks like he did manage to score the most points of anybody today. So this is still a big score for him, no matter what. He didn't win, but he kept scoring consistent positions, and that's what you need to be doing in this. You can even see James Baldwin won a race, but still only 10 points for a win in the sprint race. So it's these big feature race wins that will do it for you. And I mean, Tinko van der Velde has walked away with a 50-point score, huge amount.
Oh, 100%. Like, this is exactly what he wants, because he was a little bit further down than he is right now after round 1, obviously, but being in this championship now, he wants to be close and set himself up for this last round, because you want to have that confidence and you don't want to be going into that last round and being like, oh man, I need to score 35 points, the maximum that is possible, because then you, from the inside, you kind of already start like giving up a little bit. But if it's still sort of close, you have that confidence in yourself, like, I'm going to prove myself. And if you're in P1 at the moment in the championship, then going into the last race, you're probably going to have some extra nerves, because the only thing you can do is lose, right? Or, I mean, obviously you can win as well, but the only thing you can really do in your mind is lose the championship. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting also to speak to the guys to see how they go into that last event after today's results.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did have an interesting note from the stewards. There were no penalties and no incidents from the feature race. That's never happened so compared to last week. But they haven't had to investigate anything, and no penalties applied. 61 incidents, but no warnings given. So there you go. No penalties at all being given by the stewards this week. So a big improvement over last week. But again, we need to relax for a little bit, I think. So we'll be back after this very short ad break.
Very excited. New track, new car. It's going to be good. Track, the car, everything. Unbelievable. Amazing experience. People should sign up to the Alpine Esports Series, because you can get once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to drive an actual race car on an actual racetrack. It's a nice prize for me and Jardier having won the Alpine Esports Series, so it's going to be fun. First time driving a GT4 for me, so very excited. I don't get many opportunities to drive a real car, so any track time's great, and yeah, thankfully won it, as did Jardier, and now we get this great experience. You cannot put a price on this incredible experience you get from going from your computer to here. And only thing you have to do is just do some online races and practice and do good, you know, and be smart about it. There's going to be another Alpine Esports Series. Keep your eyes peeled for that. Follow them on the social media channels so you don't miss anything. It's going to be more competitive this year than it was last year, so I'm looking forward to it. Just do it. Do it. It's worth it.
And you are welcome back to the Alpine Esports Series powered by Binance. Well, they didn't join us after the sprint race, but they're here with us once again. We will get to hear from our two winners this evening. So we will be Talking to, we just saw him out on the track actually in that wonderful video of the Alpine A110 GT4 car. But our sprint race winner joins us in the booth, James Baldwin. James, again, sprint race win, P6. Not the absolute perfect day, but again, a win is a win.
Yeah, good race in the wet. Had good pace in the wet, and then in the dry, it was sort of the same story as round one, where just lacked pace. Lacked a couple of attempts, which. Yeah, it's confusing really, but yeah, really enjoyable race nonetheless. Like good battles and stuff. Thought I'd taken the chap in P5 out on the final corner, but luckily he didn't spin. But yeah, I want to be fun and figure out for round 3.
Did you know going into the race already that you were a little bit slower in the dry, or so were you happy that it was going to be raining in the sprint race?
I'm always happy when it rains, because I mean, real life sim, like I love it in the rain. But I don't know. After round 1, I didn't feel like I found the gap to Dennis for practicing for this one for Silverstone. So I thought in the dry we'd be still slightly off, and it was the case. I just didn't expect as many people to find pace in the dry, so hence why I qualified like 7th or 8th. Whereas last time it was like I was qualifying 2nd or 3rd. So. Yeah, I need to find some pace definitely for the final round, which is at Valencia, I think. So yeah.
Yeah, it is. Have you done many laps around the track itself, or is it going to be just a new, totally blind?
A few in a GT3, like when the game first had the update. But yeah, I need to do some laps definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have 2 weeks, so we'll.
Yeah,
see.
I'll get on it. I'll do it now.
Yeah, exactly. Get that AC unit on. Still working well.
Yeah, it would be good if it was at Magny-Cours, no?
I would be in real life as well. All of us have our own Alpine. That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
someday.
Just get on that. Someone needs to sort that out actually. But yeah, James, we'll let you head off. Congratulations on the sprint race and the 6th place. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
So James Baldwin there, sort of very clear. He says he's lacking pace and is confused why, but it's still a P6 when you're lacking pace is still really solid, I think. So we will have now our main race winner, of course, who took home big points, huge improvement from this week. Tinko van der Velde joins us. Tinko, I mean, a big haul of points for you today. A feature race win and a podium brings you right into contention. You must be really pleased.
Yes, definitely. I didn't expect it today, not at all, because
we can't say that was not James Baldwin. This is Tinko that we are talking to here below. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said you weren't expecting it, Tinko.
No, because in practice my teammates were a bit more consistent and I think had like a 10th on me, so I was pretty scared today going to the races. But yeah, it was good.
So I was actually very impressed, Tinko, by the way you didn't have to defend, almost, but at the same time, when you were defending, you just put the car in the right place and you drove off into the sunset, basically. Because in that first race, the sprint race, the guys behind you were fighting, and because they were fighting, they dropped back. And in the second race, it was the exact same thing, right? Like, how did you manage that? Did you put the car in the perfect spot the entire time, or was that just luck?
I wouldn't say luck. Like with these battles, it's just really about positioning your car in the best possible spot. And make sure you get good exits every time onto the straights, and defend in the right places. And I did that today, so very happy with that. I didn't crack under pressure, and Thom paid the price, I think, for trying to make the move and lost the position because of that. But GG to them, the P2, P3, they're friends of mine, so that battle was very scary as well.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is take out your friends. But we have just one more round to go. Valencia coming up in 2 weeks. Have you done many laps around? Have you given it a go?
About 5, I'd say.
More than James.
More James has, yeah.
That's good. I've got an advantage then. But yeah, not many laps, so really need to put in a lot of hours there to be on pace, especially in this car, because I'm just missing something to my teammates. And today I just maximized my quali performances, and that got me really good positions for the race. So yeah, next time I don't think I will maximize the quali like this, so I will need to just be quicker and have more pace.
Well, there you go. Well, Tinko, congratulations on your victory today, and we will see you in Valencia in 2 weeks.
Guys, see you in 2 weeks.
See you 2 weeks, man.
So that was our feature race winner, Tinko van der Velde, and I think it's sort of been a theme. Someone's lacking something to their teammates, still trying to find it, maximising qualifying. Was surprised he even came out with the result, but everyone seems to say the same name, Dennis Schoeniger. How is he so quick?
Oh, 100%. To be fair, I think he's still leading the championship, but today we haven't really seen the best of him, I don't think. Because have we seen him in P1 for one lap this race?
No, we haven't. But as you can see on this screen, he still leads the championship. But you can see how much that gap has come down between, because Tinko van der Velde is now in second in this championship. 8 points is all it is heading into the next round. That is incredible. So Dennis Schoeniger still leads it, as you can see, on 58. Tinko van der Velde has taken a huge haul, almost took a full score. As you can see, the maximum you can score is 35. He took home 31 points today, was the round winner. James Baldwin now tied in third place with Dominic Brouwer, who's now in the fight as well. So still incredibly close. Wojciech Fiala dropping to 5th. This week as well, and Luke Whitehead only scoring a point this week again, and not disappointing for him. Lucas Mattia tied with Mateusz Tyszkiewicz, who's again got himself into 8th place just by scoring 10 points in the feature race here. Malco Page in P9 and Charlie Crossland P10, but super close. I mean, that was how important that was for him. Gert Fischer P30, Maciej Malinowski still P12, Isaac Gillison, Kamil Pawlowski and Matthias Kuhn, who took home his first point in the feature race there as well. But huge score. That was how important that feature is, how this round, almost a perfect score for Tinko van der Velde, and he's only 8 points off the championship lead.
It's going to be exciting now. It's going to be really exciting, because I remember last year as well, there was still 3 people who could win it. I think now going into the last and final round, I think anyone with 35 points, you could still win it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could still win it. I mean, I think anyone in the top 6 going into the very last round could still win the championship. So it's going to be incredibly tough, and those guys who are going to be still in the championship are going to have to go and put in the time now on the simulator, getting ready for in 2 weeks time when we have Valencia on the 25th of May, because that track is probably new to a lot of people as well.
Yeah, and you heard from James, you heard from Tinko, they've barely driven it, so there's going to be a lot of laps put in over the next 2 weeks for these guys. And now I'm especially for Tinko, because I'm sure he wasn't expecting to even be that close in the championship, but now he's got a lot of work to do. But it's been a pleasure. The Alpine Esports Series Round 2 is at a conclusion, and we'll be back in 2 weeks for another round at Valencia. A massive thank you to all of you for all the viewers at home. Big thank you to our stewards, to all the broadcast team who do an amazing job behind the scenes to give us all this wonderful broadcast, and especially a big thank you to all our partners as well. Of course, title sponsor of Binance. You can see everyone down below us here. You got QAN, Track Racer, Shamir, Infinite Drive, GT Manager, and all of those guys down below. And don't forget as well that for Toby the Eye Tracker, we still have a discount code, Alpine Esports 2023. If you want to get your hands on a Toby Eye Tracker 5, you can still do that as well. So big thank you to all of our partners who help us throughout this.
To add on to that, there's a very special partnership going on right now between Alpine and Blast TV for the CSGO Major in Paris. Because actually, for all of you who are watching right now, what you can do is you can join into the competition, and you can have a chance of having your own gamer tag on the real Alpine Formula 1 car at Imola. The actual Imola Grand Prix, the F1 Grand Prix. So make sure you check that out. Go and follow Alpine Esports on the social media, probably Twitter or Instagram. It's all going to be on there, and join the competition. I'm going to do it because I want to get my gamer tag, this one, on the car. Let's see though. I don't think they're going to pick me.
well, we'll see. But again, get involved with that as well. Huge, amazing prize. Every gamer tag on an F1 car. Come on, I mean, how cool is that? Yeah. And as well, don't forget as well, all the liveries that you've seen this evening are now available in game. If you really like them, you can go and drive this very Alpine. But from myself, Jack Cunnane, from Thom Brouwer, pleasure to have you with us, and from all the broadcast team as well in the background, thank you all so much. And we will see you in 2 weeks at Valencia. Good night.
Bye bye.
Yeah.